Welcome to another Smash Moveset video. Last time I covered 3 movesets of 3 very different characters. I'm once again covering 3 characters, but this time they're not so different. I've always been interested in the concept of adding new classes for the Mii Fighters. I don't play as them a ton, but they each have really cool concepts that break away from some of the unique characters they pull from. I also like the chance to customize your moveset with their specials. What I like most about the idea of new Mii Fighter types though is representing abilities and skills that don't have a clear character they'd work best for. For instance, if you wanted an FPS character, you could use Doomslayer or Master Chief. But as discussed in my show Ready Moveset Go about sports characters, there are many times where it's difficult to choose one character to represent a distinct moveset idea. So I've created 3 new Mii classes that would each bring a unique twist to Smash Ultimate. Let's go! Our first new fighter type represents the top-selling phenomenon of the Wii era, Wii Sports, along with Wii Sports Resort and the general concept of sports games as a whole. The difficulty with the athlete concept is ensuring that there's not too much similarity to the brawler and sword fighter. As such, the moveset will take the Byleth approach, having one weapon primarily but using a wide variety in other moves. Neutral attacks would use the tennis racket with modest range and damage, side attacks would use the fencing sword for a small hitbox with great range. Down attacks would use a golf club with a ton of knockback, and up attacks would equip boxing gloves for big damage. Nothing too crazy for the normals. Let's get into the athlete's special options now. Neutral Special provides an array of ranged options. A single tap tennis ball with decent speed, good for pressure and disruption. A standard chargeable bow and arrow like Link for more damage and range at the cost of more vulnerability. And lastly, a bowling ball that moves along the ground for huge damage while being easily avoidable. This gives a choice between speed, range, and strength, with the bowling ball having the added bonus of falling off the stage. Side B adds more varied attack options. A massive baseball bat swing similar to the bat item with great kill power. A multi-tap boxing barrage similar to Marth's Side B offering multiple switch-up options. And a frisbee. The frisbee would fly slowly through the air, dealing weak damage if striking an enemy. While flying, a trusty dog would spawn and chase after it, knocking foes away. The athlete also pulls from various influences with their up B recoveries, rocketing up and falling slowly with a parachute like Game & Watch, soaring forward while blasting machine guns in a dogfighting plane, which functions similar to Fox, and a rise and fall recovery with a basketball dunk slamming down. Down B would be less about recovery, but still a group of powerful movement options. Cycling, functioning like Wario's bike but continuously pressing B to keep up your power. There's wakeboarding with a quick diagonal flip on the board, sort of like Squirtle's up B, adding a little verticality. And finally, power cruising, a strong super armored ride forward akin to Wonder Wing. For a final smash, maybe something that incorporates the 5 main sports of Wii Sports in an on-stage combo attack. The Mii Athlete, while not the most unique of the 3 I'm sharing today, still brings a fun new take that references one of Nintendo's biggest boons in the Wii era. Now to take a look at a moveset loosely based on one of the Wii's more willingly forgotten games. Wii Music is generally remembered as a flop, especially for the memorably hilarious E3 demonstration. But I don't really want to build the moveset off of just that. I want to take cues from rhythm games as well as the real-life instruments. This would be a similar moveset to the athletes, but for more of a neutral-heavy style instead of lots of movement and range. I think normally the fighter wouldn't be holding an instrument, just bobbing to their own rhythm, which I'll talk about in a second. Normals would pull out different instruments with different attacks. A snare roll for a rapid jab, lighter attacks with flutes and clarinets, and stronger attacks with electric guitars and heavy brass. This would be a mix of physical attacks and short-range sound blasts. A lot of normals could also rely on small foot movements in reference to dance games. For the specials, the player would basically pick their favorite instruments that would be the highlights of the moveset. Before I touch on that though, I need to bring up a unique element of the musician. Unlike other Mii fighters, the musician would have a shield B move. This would be called tempo. Essentially what you're doing here is setting the speed and power of your gameplay. Holding shield and tapping B 4 times rhythmically will set your tempo. You'll be able to see your tempo as a pulsing light near your character portrait, as well as feel it in a light controller vibration. This will essentially change how fast some moves should be performed and how much damage they do. A faster tempo will have higher speed but weaker damage and knockback, and vice versa. Attacking and moving perfectly on the beat will add a little extra damage as well. Now for the actual specials. Neutral B is Trumpet, which fires out a quick sharp sound projectile with good range, Singing, which functions like Jigglypuff's up B, and Guitar, which is obviously my personal favorite. This sends out a cone of damage in front of you and creates a short visual track in front of your Mii. B button symbols will start rolling in, and you can hit up to 6 times to build the range and damage of the attack and hit with even more power. This is obviously my way of nodding to games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Side B has the bass, which sends out a rumbling low note that stuns enemies, a violin functioning as a chargeable dash attack like Ike with a quick violin scale and slash of the bow, and turntables which can be charged up with scratches until sending out a powerful projectile disc. Up B has some varied recovery options again, with a more traditional rising multi-hit with a tambourine, a directional one-hit spinning attack with a saxophone, and a banjo-like huge jump upwards with a powerful piano chord, sending a baby grand downward that could deal massive damage under you. Finally, some more stationary options with down B, a pounding drum solo doing damage to surrounding enemies like Donkey Kong's down B, a deafening falcon punch like blast with a tuba, and another button timing game, but this time in the form of a dance pad. The more commands you can follow correctly, the more of a temporary boost you'll get to your damage and knockback. For a final smash, the enemies are teleported into the seats of a grand hall where the musician sings backed by a whole band and literally blows them away. One of the trickier concepts of this video, the musician would bring a lot of really interesting interpretations to a moveset, even if there may be other highly demanded rhythm reps like Rhythm Heaven. Finally, I saved my favorite and I think the best for last. I briefly mentioned this in Ready Moveset Go, where I made a moveset for a Rocket League battle car. This was basically my runner-up, focusing on another very popular driving game, this time coming from Nintendo, Mario Kart. Mario Kart is huge, still being a major Switch seller and already having a large pool of content in Smash. I thought it would be fun to try and make a Mario Kart rep, and since no one character would be the strongest choice, I decided to change it to a new Mii Fighter. This fighter would always be in their cart, and therefore would be the only Mii Fighter with very different stats. The racer would be pretty fast, pretty heavy, but would be prone to sliding around and having a hard time getting out of combos. On the whole, they wouldn't be too large though, like Bowser Jr. but wider and a tiny bit shorter. Oh, and their air movement would be terrible. I guess their jump would be like a boost pad kinda, and they could have a glider pop out to help their fall, to be a little more merciful. Standard attacks would be a mix of physical attacks with their hands, with the cart, and maybe a couple other elements from the games without using too much so the specials can really shine. These are probably my favorite specials of any of these Mii fighters. The Racer's neutral B would focus on basic, iconic projectile attacks. A green shell going quickly straight forward with solid damage, a red shell homing in but moving a little slower, and a fire flower barrage that is weaker individually but can be fired quickly like Fox's blaster. Side B would continue using straightforward classic items, a strong charge forward with a mushroom, a pretty standard boomerang, and a bob-omb that will either explode on impact or walk around just like Mario Kart or the items already in Smash. Up B still uses some items, but uses a little more wiggle room to interpret some of them. There's the bullet bill, where you hold to pick a direction and then fly forward, destroying enemies along the way, balloons, basically like Villager, and a Lakitu, a slow recovery that can be easy to counter but will bring you to center stage from anywhere on the map. Then there's down B, going back to more basic item uses. The super horn with a big cooldown but great blast radius that destroys projectiles, a banana that trips enemies, and a blooper that tracks enemies down and inks them, reversing controls. The final smash would be a combination of a couple game-winning items all together in a move called Crazy 8. Like Supersonic, the cart would loop around the stage powered by a star, ramming enemies while also striking opponents with lightning and finishing with a massive blue shell blast. The Mii Racer would perfectly encapsulate one of Nintendo's biggest franchises. It may be harder to balance and realize than others, but the unique possibilities are endless with a cart-based fighter. And that does it for these new Mii fighters. Let me know which is your favorite, what you don't like, or what ideas for new Mii fighters you have. And be sure to keep up with the channel. I have the Ready Moveset Go series with a ton of creative moveset ideas, as well as more solo character movesets coming soon. Until next time, thanks for watching.